who erased us. Every scream of the invaders was swallowed by the roar of human firepower. Their arrogance dissolved into terror. Where once they mocked, now they whispered in fear. We thought them weak. We were wrong. The fall of the warlord. The last battle was fought above the Jathari homeworld. The warlord's great fleet, once proud, once invincible, now burned like drifting wreckage. The human flagship Nemesis descended into orbit, its shadow consuming the alien capital. From its speakers came a single voice, transmitted across every frequency. You answered diplomacy with blood. Earth answers blood with fire. Orbital strikes followed. Mountains cracked, oceans boiled, cities disintegrated into molten glass. The Jathari Empire, which had ruled for centuries, ended in a single day of fire. The warlord himself was captured, dragged before human commanders. His final words were not defiance but horror. What are you? The answer came with ice-cold certainty. We are Earth, and we do not forgive. Aftermath of silence. When the war ended, there was no celebration, no songs, no joy. Only silence. The galaxy stared into the void where the Jathari had once thrived and saw nothing but ruins. In council halls, rulers whispered, too afraid to speak openly. Never provoke them again. Never test Earth's patience. Never forget what vengeance looks like. Human fleets returned home in silence, carrying the weight of millions avenged. They did not boast, for vengeance was never glory, it was necessity. The galaxy, once so confident in Earth's fragility, now understood a truth etched in fire. Humanity's patience may be vast, their silence long, but their vengeance, when it comes, is infinite. The final whisper. Across the stars, survivors of the war carried the same tale. They spoke it in fear, in awe, in hushed tones. Earth's answer was not diplomacy, it was retribution. And the galaxy learned to fear not the roar of humanity, but the silence that comes before it. They descended on the colony without hesitation, without warning, and without mercy. The Zarkith Dominion, proud, scaled, and cruel, had chosen their target with the precision of predators. A world named Haven Reach, a human colony at the edge of mapped space. Its name suggested safety, but its fate would redefine horror. The Zarkith ships fell from orbit like knives, their engines screaming as they cut through the atmosphere. Civilians scattered beneath burning skis, their cries lost beneath the thunder of bombardment. Homes shattered. Hospitals turned to ash. A city center where children once played was ground into slag beneath orbital lances. The Zarkith didn't even feign justification. They acted with the kind of arrogance born from long-standing conquest. For millennia, their fleets had broken weaker civilizations. They had trampled empires, enslaved species, and carved their dominance into the stars. Humanity, to them, was simply the next name to add to their ledger of subjugation. On the Zarkith flagship, Captain Voreth broadcast his victory across secured channels. His fangs gleamed as he laughed, addressing his officers. Behold the humans. They breed fast but fall faster. They build much, yet guard little. Their colonies are ripe fields for harvest. Let this burning world be the first of many. The bridge echoed with laughter, scales rattling as claws drummed against consoles in rhythm with their joy. The Zarkith did not merely kill, they celebrated the act. Their cruelty was a message, broadcast on open frequencies so survivors could hear every boast. Diplomacy, the Zarkith believed, would be Earth's only weapon, and diplomacy, they knew, was nothing against fire. Their mockery of Earth. The aftermath of Haven Reach's destruction rippled through human space. The colony's distress signals had been short, fragmented, and horrific. By the time Earth received them, the world was already dust. To the Zarkith, it was proof of humanity's weakness. They mocked Earth in council halls of the Dominion, declaring their campaign of conquest inevitable. On their networks, Zarkith propagandists displayed images of Haven Reach burning, accompanied by sneering captions. Earth speaks of law, we answer with flame. They preach peace, we write conquest. The humans build homes, we build pyres. Other civilizations, some long cowed by the Dominion, watched in silence. None dared intervene. They remembered their own defeats, the crushing inevitability of Zarkith fleets. The galaxy had learned submission, and now it assumed Earth would learn the same lesson. Within the Zarkith war councils, advisors dismissed humanity as fragile diplomats, a species too enamored with treaties and committees to muster a true fight. One strategist scoffed. Earth will send envoys. They will beg for compromise. They will kneel as all do. The council erupted in approving growls. They had measured Earth's patience, but they had not measured its wrath. The silence before the storm. In the heart of Sol, deep within Earth's defense command, there was no debate of surrender. No envoy was dispatched. No plea was written. There was only silence. The kind of silence that was heavier than words, heavier than grief. It was the silence of leaders listening to the screams of a burned colony, replayed over and over on their screens until rage eclipsed sorrow. Orders moved like whispers through secure channels. Entire fleets, kept hidden, long prepared for the possibility no one ever wished to voice, were activated. From shipyards carved into asteroids and dry docks orbiting gas giants, titanic vessels powered to life. Earth's dreadnoughts, names that had rested dormant like sleeping gods, were awakened. Titan, Ares, Nemesis, Retribution. Comms across Sol space filled with three chilling words. No diplomacy, retaliation. Across colonies and outposts, conscription surged as volunteers poured in, their grief hardened into resolve. Soldiers donned exo-armor, their visors etched with the names of the dead. Engineers whispered to one another in steel-lined corridors. This time, humanity will not hold back. The galaxy had assumed Earth's silence was weakness, but silence is not always surrender. Sometimes silence is a blade being sharpened in the dark. The storm unleashed. The Zarkith learned the truth too late. Their fleets, arrogant and spread thin, were still celebrating the massacre when the first human retaliation arrived. No announcement, no warning, only fire. A Zarkith supply convoy vanished in a bloom of plasma. A listening post along their frontier blinked offline, its towers reduced to molten slag. Outposts that had stood for centuries were wiped out in minutes. Then the human fleets arrived in force. Dreadnoughts the size of cities erupted from warp corridors, blotting out stars with their armored hulls. Each one was a fortress, bristling with weapons that glowed with the heat of vengeance. Behind them surged carriers, destroyers, swarms of strike craft, all painted black, their insignias glowing like burning embers. The first targeted system fell in a single hour. Zarkith orbital defenses shredded under mass driver barrages. Their planets shook as kinetic strikes hammered their crusts. Cities crumbled as orbital lances carved paths of fire across continents. But the most terrifying weapon was not the guns. It was the message. Human broadcasts echoed across the system in cold, unflinching tones. This is not war, this is retribution. No demands were made, no ultimatums given. Earth was not negotiating, Earth was avenging. Zarkith commanders scrambled, roaring orders as fleets were mobilized. But every defense line broke. Every counterattack withered. Humanity had been underestimated, and now that underestimation consumed them. The weight of retribution. The climax came when humanity struck the Zarkith home sectors. Entire armadas converged on their core worlds. The sight of Earth's vengeance became legend, fleets blotting out suns, the void filled with so many human ships it looked as though the night sky itself had risen to strike them. When the dreadnought Nemesis opened fire, the beams carved through planetary shields as if they were parchment. When Ares descended, its planetary assault units dropped in waves, their impact quakes registering as tremors felt across hemispheres. Zarkith soldiers fought savagely, but they fought against inevitability. Human infantry moved with merciless efficiency, their armor reflecting fire, their weapons calibrated for extinction-level precision. They advanced not as conquerors, but as executioners. For every colony burned, the Zarkith lost a world. For every human life taken, 1,000 Zarkith perished. The scales of vengeance were not balanced. They were broken, shattered under the weight of Earth's fury. The Zarkith Council begged for negotiation.